Okay, we are live. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties, but thank you for letting me know that, Joe. So I thought I hit go live and it did not go live. So I apologize, but thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll take that off the air. It is great to be with you here on another Tuesday. We're a little bit late, obviously, because I was not on the air, but I said some really cool things. So welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. Um, Freddie said hi early. Thank you for joining me, Freddie. I wasn't on the air for my intro, so crazy night. So I apologize for that, but it was just my regular intro. So thank you so much for joining me. I will go ahead and hit record. So I might patch this up and put it on the air. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm Keith. This is Live Journey Production Studios, and it's Tuesday night, our live show. I have a post-show planned tonight, so I hope you'll join me. We have some great topics tonight, both in the live show right now as well as the post show. Post show will be around 5:20 if all goes well here in the pre-show, and hopefully record will work in the post show. So let me know if the lips are in sync. Thank you for joining me. Lots of you have been waiting for me to get live, but I thank you for doing that and joining me. I will say hi again. So I did play some Skycam, Freddie, but obviously I didn't hit the button like I thought I had. So my whole intro and the beginning of my live stream tonight was not live. So obviously when you're live every week, you would think you'd get better and better, but sometimes things don't go the way you planned. So I apologize for that again. So hi to Freddie. Also hi to Neftal. Dones, and I say hi to you as well. We have Joe here from Conjoling Technologies who let me know I wasn't live. Thank you, Joe. And then it's good to have you here, Tony, tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's scroll down here and just get caught up with everybody that's in the stream tonight. Bill, it is good to have you. Let's get that on the screen. If it will go up there, there is Bill. Thank you for joining me. We are having quite a hot summer here in my locale. We've got Lieutenant A.K. Allen in the house. Thank you for joining me. Again, Freddie, thank you for missing me last week. I will talk about that tonight. DJ Ware in the house tonight. It's great to have you. As always, DJ Ware. It looks like a little logo change in your icon. That's really cool. Let's see here. And I think that's it. And I don't think I missed anybody here. Oh, David, I see you down here. Sorry for us not being live when I should have been live. So evidently, I still can make some basic mistakes. And so today I actually drove over to one of my client's business location, and I shot an interview, and that's kind of what got me delayed. I had some technical difficulties getting ready for the post show. We are going to talk about purchasing an RV. I also am going to show you the last part of my maiden drone flight in the post show. I have an interview, if I can get it to work tonight, that I did with my mentor and who allowed me to fly his drone. We'll talk about in the post show. In the live show tonight, we're going to talk about what Blackmagic did. Again, I've been making some plans to change up my studio. Pretty much had made a decision to purchase a new interface. And then all of a sudden there was a new announcement. So I was going to talk about that tonight as I was getting ready for this July 26th live stream. The challenge with that was we were going to kind of make some final decisions, get some more feedback, and I was probably going to be placing an order tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, after I did my still image, almost to the day, maybe later that day, when I did my still image to let everybody know I wasn't going to be live last Tuesday, and I'll talk about the reason for that here in a minute. But then all of a sudden, there's this announcement from Blackmagic Design about the new Blackmagic Design ATEM or SDI ATEM. So there's 3 versions of that. We're going to talk about that tonight. So not only do you have the new constellations with some great features in those, some limited features, they don't record, but I was considering very closely ready to pull the trigger. And then obviously this announcement changes everything. I want to talk a little bit about that tonight. We're going to go to Blackmagic Design's webpage here in a few minutes and talk about some of the things that caught my attention about this new SDI version of the Blackmagic Design ATEMs. And so if you don't know anything about this announcement, Blackmagic Design did announce last week that they were going to have these 3 new ATEMs, basically replacing the ATEM Mini. So now they have an SDI version. They're also replacing the ATEM Pro ISO with basically a ISO recording SDI version. And then they're also going to replace the Extreme ISO with an SDI Extreme version. So though they had 5 versions, now they're going to have 3 versions, really just leaving the original ATEM Mini and then going with 2 of the ISO versions of the SDI. And they have a little bit more punch in them. We'll talk about that, why it stopped me in my tracks for tonight's live stream. I changed up my still image. I added the SDI version in the still, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. And then had to rethink that. So why I was off campus out in a very hot outdoor RV show for one of my clients, helping a friend of mine using some of my post or pre-life journey production skill sets, which was RVs and 18, 19 years of being in the RV business. So I lend my expertise there as well as other things that I am doing for this client. So got very, very busy, very, very hot, and was completely, totally exhausted last Tuesday when I woke up, and there was just no way that I was going to be able to physically not just rest and try to regroup and get ready to go back out in the heat the very next day. So Tuesday was just a day of rest for me, and I did recover and had a pretty good week. And then again yesterday out in the heat very early, helping them return RVs to their lot, which was about 15 miles away from where the outdoor sale was. And we're going to talk about RVs a little bit in the post show, as well as the drone that I got to fly. So that'll be exciting in the post show. That'll be again about 5:20. So, okay. So let me kind of go back through your comments and make sure I'm not doing anything else wrong here tonight. Give me a second here. Let me just change this mouse location. Again, hi to Freddie, hi to Joe from Conjoined Technologies. He says, hey to everybody. Freddie says hi to Joe and Tony. They're all waiting for me. I understand that. That was a comment from Freddie to Bill. Joe is right. I didn't forget to go live. I thought I clicked on the button as I was scurrying around here doing a few things, and evidently it didn't go live. I did not look back here to see if I was live. So note to self, that should have been on my checklist. I missed that. Again, Tony, I said hi, and just pop again some of these up on the screen in case I didn't put them on there earlier. Here's that comment from Joe. Thank you, Joe. Hopefully you guys are learning more than usual when I'm not live, but please make sure you create a checklist. And I don't have a list anymore like I used to, so I rely on my instincts, and tonight they let me down. So yeah, I was giving a great show to my BenQ monitor. I was talking to the camera, and if Joe hadn't sent me that message in the chat, I would have not even realized that we weren't live, and I apologize again for that. And DJ Ware said he had a Homer Simpson moment, I guess recording. So I've done that as well. I had a few of those. So again, guys, probably a perfect delivery before we went live. So let me clear these just for a minute and just say this. So live streaming obviously is live. You can't, if you make a mistake, it's going to be live. If you don't go live, you're going to be live with a still image, people waiting for you, especially if it's scheduled. I run an intro video, and you didn't get a chance to see that tonight. I'm going to play just a second of that just to let everybody else that's watching this delayed that normally you're going to see this. So we're going to roll that here real quick. Intro. So that's my normal intro, and that covers 7 minutes, why people get a chance to get on the live. And that's the reason I have the intro, same music every week, and I will be changing that music eventually. But so when you're doing your live stream, you need to kind of go through that checklist, and I create those videos, those intro videos each week. I add the timer, and I do all that just to give me a chance to get live before 4 o'clock so that people can jump on. I can chat with some of you in the chat before that. And I thoroughly enjoy that. I have a sky cam that I can put up on the screen. And so let me get chat off the air, and I'll switch over to the sky cam. And turn that on. So this can be on the air as well. And then if I turn chat back on the air, then that's not what I wanted. So let me fix this real quick. Need to turn this off. And that was not the right thing there. I had it set right in the first place. So let me turn chat back on the air with the Skycam on. And so that's the Skycam. So I usually play bits of that, and it shows me in the studio before we go live. And that's a lot of fun, just because some people enjoy seeing me in here preparing for a live. But tonight I sure didn't prepare very well. So let me fix the chat here again. And I'm using OBS, if you're wondering, to do the chat. And then I use my my Wacom tablet. I pop the chat out and put it here on my Wacom tablet, so then I can pop things up on the air. And so if I want to put chat on the air, I can, like that. And I'm using OBS, and I'm using the same ATEM Mini Pro to bring in my PC, to bring in my Apple TV, to bring in my PC desktop. That's what you see the chat on, using OBS and Aaron Parecki's Chrome plugin, which I have a video here on the channel, so check that out if you want to know how to put chat on the screen. I explained that. Aaron Parecki has a video as well explaining it. So all of that has to be prepared before I go live, and I spend pretty much most of Tuesday getting ready for live. And if I have a post show like I do tonight, it's twice as much preparation and thought that goes into it each week, and I sure enjoy having people with me when I do that. So we're going to talk tonight about kind of my take on this new device by Blackmagic Design. So what I want to do here is change to their site. And first, we're going to talk about kind of where I was going. So let's see if this works here. Chat off the air, and we'll go to, this should work right here, hopefully. There we go. So we're going to talk about the first announcement, and that was the ATEM Constellations. And lots of good choices here, in my opinion, with lots of channels and lots of outputs. SDI, no recording. So in reality, you know, when you try to climb inside the head of Blackmagic Design and Grant and the people that surround him, and as they look at the market, they look at people like us who are live streaming in their homes, people that might be using an ATEM for Zoom or for Microsoft meetings, or for all of those softwares that are out there, or people that were gamers. Originally, it came out with a basic ATEM Mini for us, right? So you have a switcher with 4 inputs and be able to change different camera angles or add your desktop or add a gaming system. But the more that the time went by and with all the things happening in the world and more people working from home, more and more people starting YouTube channels because they have time now. They're not driving back and forth to work. Maybe they weren't working at all and decided to take the time away from work because they had been laid off, and they started doing live streaming or recording videos at home. And so much of that took place. I believe that that influenced some of the new ATEMs that we saw come out. You saw the Pro, which added streaming and recording features. So instead of just trying to come out of your ATEM through the USB-C output, you are now able to go and then go into OBS or any other software and stream from it. Now you're able to stream directly from an ATEM Mini, the Pro version, and also record to an SD drive. So you got that SD, you got that USB-C port back, and so now you could use it for something besides a webcam. You could use it to record to an SD drive. And I got one right here. This is one of my clients, and I get one of these for each one of my clients. And so that gave us the ability to stream out to different sites. And originally, there's very few stream locations. Then after that, they came out with the ISO version. I had already bought the ATEM Mini Pro. And then they came out with the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, and that gave the ability to record the program out as well as all 4 of the inputs. And then also you had the media pool. So that would be all your still images, as well as having the ability to have a folder with files in it so that you could open it up in DaVinci Resolve. And if you were recording in Blackmagic Design cameras, you could replace all that footage, right? And then actually edit it down using the raw footage out of a Blackmagic Design camera or whatever you decided to do. Then they came out with the Extreme to give us more inputs. And then it gave us 2 outputs because the ATEM Mini Pro had a multi-view out. The ATEM Mini did not. You could only choose an input. You could choose program, or you could choose one of the 4 inputs going into that ATEM Mini. And then the Pro gave the ability to have a multi-view out, and that helped people. The Extreme had 2 outputs, which I have an Extreme ISO, which will record all 8 inputs as well as the program. It does not record multi-view, so you can use that second output to output back into the ATEM, the multi-view. But again, there's lots of things that the Extreme and Extreme ISO did, but I always felt like it was limited outputs. So when these came out, right, they have multiple outputs. I mean, crazy outputs. So if we look at the specs, you can see that the Constellation HD 1ME has 10 standard converted 3G SDI inputs, 6 3G SDI outputs. So 6 outputs. So that's pretty enticing, but it does not have super source, and it does not record or stream from it. So you're still going to have to use, out of those 6 outputs, you would have to put 4 of those into your ATEM Mini ISO if you have one, if you wanted to record all 4 of your camera inputs or hook it up to a number of hyperdecks. You could do the shuttles if you're just recording from an ATEM Mini Pro 1080p, or you could then get like the larger versions, like I have the Extreme ISO, and then you could record up to 6 outputs into that and have 6 channels of recording, but now you don't have anything for multi-view, and you don't have anything to send to like a web presenter. So it would be great for recording videos in studio, but it's not going to be great for recording outside streaming because you have to send to a web presenter HD, or you would have to send a signal into a deck link card into your PC if you were or Macintosh if you were going to try to record or stream out. So again, I loved the idea that they came out with this new rack mounted 1ME, but with the limit, no super source, and only 6 outputs, that was out for me. Then bring in the ME2. And again, the ME2 is very enticing as well because it has 12, 12, let's read this. The 2ME model doubles the features of the 1ME model with 20 inputs and 12 3G SDI outputs. And then you have similar specs to like an Extreme as far as the DVEs and super sources available. And so I have to say that I was very, very close to getting this unit because I could record 8 of those SDI outputs into my Extreme ISO, right? My ATEM Mini Extreme ISO has 8 inputs. I'd have to convert all of those SDIs into it. Mainly that would just be 4 SDI converters. And then I have my 2 HybridX, my HybridX Studio Mini, the original version. It has a key channel and a fill channel SDI out. And so it would then take up 2 of those SDI inputs. And then I have another HybridX Studio HD Plus. That would take up 2 more. So there's 4 that I would be recording in case I was playing a video or I was playing graphics. I would record those channels and probably still processing what would be necessary to record in that, because again, most of those are going to be overlays, but I do have to get those channels in to the 2ME in order to present graphics with a keyed out background, but I don't necessarily have to record those. And so that's what I was going to talk about tonight, exactly how many of those outputs I would need for my HybridX, how many of those outputs would I actually record, and I was pretty well going to pull the trigger this week for a 2ME, and then Blackmagic does this, and they announce this new SDI version. So here's the back of the ATEM Mini, and it has SDI outs, and if you notice, it has 2 outputs instead of 1 output. So now you have the ability to send program to like a Web Presenter Pro with the regular ATEM Mini, and then you would have another output to send to your monitors. So it makes the ATEM Mini models even more effective for people that are using them. You still can't stream from them, you still can't record in them, but now you have this extra output, and that was curious. But the one that really caught my attention was the new, not the Pro, which now gives you those 2 SDI outs, 4 SDI ins, the ability to have recording all of those 8 inputs as well as the program out, and then you have 2 outputs. But that wasn't really the one I was looking at, though it's a great addition for people that need that extra output again. So now you could go, one camera could be camera 1 output as a confidence monitor, and the other one could be camera 2 output. And then if you ever wanted to put up a teleprompter from your shuttle, you could, just by changing the source. So I want to show that real quick just to let you know that when I want to use my second output or my first output out of my Extreme, I go up to outputs right here, and you have these 2 choices. So my output number 1 can be anything. It can be black. It could be my first camera, EOS R. It can be my main camera that you're seeing right here. It could be my ATEM Mini Pro, because I bring my Pro into channel 3. It could be my laptop. This is what you're seeing right now. That's my laptop. That's in input number 4. So I can put it into Super Source because I have an Extreme ISO. It has Super Source available. So if you had this ATEM Mini Pro with 2 outputs, now I could send anything I want to my confidence monitors because that's what I feed my output number 2 HDMI out of my Extreme. Well, now it's SDI out, and this camera right here has HDMI out, but I also have an SDI in my monitor. So I could come straight out of the back of the Constellation ME2 and come right to this monitor, and I wouldn't have to have a converter at all. So that was interesting to me. So I could choose, with this matrix built into the control software, I could choose what I want to go out of output 1 or output 2. Now, output 2 is always used for my confidence monitors, and then output 1 is multi-view. So, and if I switch to my main camera here, just so you can see it for a minute. So this monitor is the same thing I have up here. That's my multi-view, but I can change this. I have the same output that goes to my confidence monitors, which is my output number 2 out of the back of my ATEM Extreme ISO. I can switch this to input 2, and now it's going to be the same thing that you guys are seeing. Now my confidence monitor is the same as this monitor back here, and it's going to take a second for this to render. It takes a while, but there we go. So now that's what everybody sees, and that's what I see on my monitors. And then I'll switch it back to input 1. And it does take a while for all of my monitors to sync up and also give me what I need in my confidence monitor. In fact, right now, I don't have a confidence monitor right now because my port keys has not popped up yet. So I can see it up here in my program out, but normally I watch this monitor right here. And just because I switched that, it's impacted me being able to see what's on the program. So if we go back into SuperSource, you can see now this is how I switch between those outputs. And so output number 2 is program. That's what I use for my confidence monitor. And output number 1 is set to multi-view, and I can change those right here. So back to Blackmagic design. So with the new Extreme, it has 4 SDI outs. Let's scroll down here and see if there's a picture. I'm pretty sure right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the Pro. And I think if we go down here further, they have a picture somewhere of the Extreme. I thought they had a picture of it here on this page. Maybe I missed it. I know they have a picture of showing it in the back of the trunk. Yeah, there it is. That's the best shot I have right now. It's in the back of the trunk, but now you have 4 outputs, and that's what's enticing for me, and that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, because 4 outputs could mean that I can stray away from the Constellation ME2 and possibly add a Extreme SDI ISO to my studio, and that's what I really wanted to talk about tonight. This monitor is going to drive me crazy, so let me make a switch here. I don't want to turn everything off. You see if I can get this monitor to come up. So we'll see if that will refresh. And maybe we'll get back to the input that lets me see what you see. There we go. So with 4 outputs and the 8 inputs, it really kind of solves a lot of the problems that I have in the studio. And so one of those problems that I have in the studio is anytime I want to move away from this desk and go to the table, it would be nice to be able to have a dedicated input and a dedicated monitor and be able to have it over there rather than having to turn this big monitor around, because I'm getting up and down sometimes in a live stream and I don't want to move this monitor. I'd much rather have that big TV monitor and change the room layout. I'd also like that big TV to replace what you guys see during a live stream, so I could have my multi-view up there. And right now I could do that by adding another splitter, but it would be nice to be able to send what I want up there, because it would be really cool to sit in a, instead of doing SuperSource, a layout like this, it would be nice to be able to have me on camera and just sitting next to that big screen and then roll a video on the big screen by using my iPad and macros. And that's kind of what my thoughts are. So instead of two outputs. That new Extreme SDI ISO has 4, and that gives you the ability to route any one of those 4 things. It still has super source. And the only thing that I heard Grant say in his video that it doesn't have, like some of the other ATEMs, is that it does not, it will not broadcast 1080i. And so if you watch Grant's announcement video from last week, and actually the information on the new SDI models came out a day before Grant's video, which is unusual for Blackmagic design. So that was very interesting to me. For no video, I saw the page that we're looking at right now in SuperSource, but I could not find a video from Grant until after the announcement was made all over social media. And I had friends sending me links, and I was sending links to my friends. And I think even a video came out on YouTube from one of the YouTubers that I watched before the announcement was even done by Grant. And so pretty interesting product. I'd love to get some feedback now. Let me just go through the chat. I think I can put chat back on the air here. And let's just take a breath here. And let's see if you guys have anything that you would like to say about that device. Tony says, or Joe says, Tony's available to help me with my pre-flight. That's pretty cool. David says he also loves the 2ME. Yeah, and I think you talked about that, David, before. I was going to get the 2ME, and I'm still not sure I won't, but it actually postponed, especially as busy as I was. So I literally was off. Normally I'm working from the home doing consulting right here, and occasionally I go out and do some projects outside of the studio a day or 2 days at a time. But literally since May or June 15th, I've been working 3 days a week off-site and on location for this RV dealer. And then over the last 2 weeks, 6 extra days, so that's 9 days. And that doesn't seem a lot. Many of you work 5 days a week, long days. But for me, I also have clients that I deal with inside my studio. I have my live stream, which takes up pretty much a day. And I also want to take a day just with the family. So I didn't go live last week because I was doing that. But I had a blast. I got more tan, and so it was quite fun. And so I'm quite not ready to make a decision. Tomorrow's agenda is to sit down again with my notepad, take some notes from you guys tonight and your input. Because you know how my live stream is. I have this camera, I have my overhead camera, which I'm really not planning on using tonight. So I don't even know if it's fired up, but I can switch over to that in a minute. But so I have 3 cameras, my PC, 3 HyperDecks now. So I'm already running out of inputs. I'm using the ATEM Mini Pro, and 3 of the inputs in my ATEM Mini Pro have switches in front of them so I can change inputs. So again, you can see how many inputs. That makes 7 in my ATEM Mini Pro because 3 channels have double inputs in them, so I can switch between those. One of them has a single input, which is my camera 3, because I just always have it camera 3. So if I want to bring in camera 3, I bring it in through channel 3 in my ATEM Extreme ISO. And because my ATEM Mini Pro comes into my Extreme ISO, I'm losing that channel 3 for anything else but my ATEM Mini Pro. So my ATEM Mini Pro takes that channel up. So I really only have 7 inputs in my Extreme ISO, and then I can do 7 more from my ATEM Mini. So that's 14 inputs at all times. And even if I do get this new SDI model you see in the back of this pickup truck, right? Right there, clear that. Even if I get that, it doesn't answer the input issue, it answers my output issue. So that would replace my ATEM Mini Pro, and that means that one of the outputs would be, of those 4, would be taken up going into either this unit from my extreme ISO. Now, probably most likely one of the two outputs from my extreme ISO would go into one of those inputs in the SDI. So again, I'd gain the inputs, I would lose all those switches, I would be taking up an input in my extreme ISO, but I would still have 4 outputs. So that's what I'm going to put on paper tomorrow. But if you already have an ATEM, or you have a Constellation 2ME, maybe you can let me know what you're running into. I definitely, if I got that device, I would need to figure out how I was going to record, because it does not record. It does have super source. It does not stream directly from it. So I would have to stream either from one of my 2 ATEMs, or I'd have to get a Web Presenter HD on top of the cost of a Constellation 2ME. So that's what caught my attention. The SDI does record all 8 inputs and the program. Again, it still does not record multi-view. It does have, super source, but it does have super source. I could also record multi-view by coming out of an output into an input. But I do like the idea that I'm adding 4 SDI outputs, because that solves some of the problem in my studio. And who knows, I may end up getting a Constellation 2ME and SD, but I don't really need that, because you can go back to this other web page and you can see if I do get the 2ME, I have 12 outputs. And I really like that. I actually like 20 outputs even more, but I just am not leaning towards getting the 4ME. The idea of dealing with 2 super sources and 40 channels, and it has 24 outputs, which is great. If you're Aaron Parecki and his channel, that is very enticing, and he's rebuilding the studio right now. He has a live stream on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. When he's in town, he's in his studio. When he's out of town, he'll stream from a YOLO box. And he's ordered a 4ME. I don't know if it's come in yet or not. I wasn't home to watch his live stream on Sunday. That's on my agenda for tomorrow as well. So the ATEM constellations are enticing because of all the inputs and all the outputs. We've already talked about the pros and cons of this a number of weeks back, but what we haven't done is compare these 2 devices, and that's really what tonight's live stream is all about. As you compare them, one has the benefit of recording, ISO tracks, still 4 outputs, though you could get more by going to the 12 that you get in the 2ME Constellation, but it does not record those channels. 20 inputs and no recording, 20 inputs and no streaming. So not being able to record anything and not being able to stream anything from that device is really why I had not pulled the trigger yet, though I was this close. So the SDI version really does entice me. If it does not stream 1080i interlaced, which is basically 720p on steroids, right? If it doesn't stream that, then it doesn't really impact me, because I'm always streaming at 1080p. Right now I'm streaming at somewhere between 3.8 and up. I'll just double check my specs here. Bring this up, just pull it over here. And I'm streaming high. So as I put more things on the screen and move more, these numbers are going to go up. They actually are kind of low this morning or tonight. I don't know why. Usually this is 5 or 6, but, and you can see we've already been on the air for 50 minutes, even though I didn't get on the air right at the beginning of tonight's stream. So let's just stop. I'm going to take a few minutes. I would love to get your feedback of what you think might work for my studio. Is it a combination of 2 ATEM SDIs? Is it the 2ME and my current extreme ISO? With my HybridX, again, I want to be able to do teleprompting. I want to be able to send that HybridX shuttle to a monitor that I can read when I'm doing my videos, and they're done on the table. So those are the problems I'm trying to solve. I still want to use my two HyperDecks. I like to sometimes have a video queued on my old HyperDeck Studio Mini and then have my intro, my outro, and other videos queued and ready to go on my my HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. And I also like that the HD Plus has the ability to put headphones in it. And I love the idea that it has the better button layout. It just has way more features. And I can actually come out of a 4K camera, HDMI mini. That's what I have. You might have the Blackmagic design camera. You may have a micro HDMI out of your camera, but you can go directly to the back of the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus HDMI, which I love that. So it also has an SDI out with information on it. So it's a great match for an SDI ATEM or a Constellation of any version, the 1, the 2, or the ME, the 2 or the 4 ME. They are great choices. So, okay. I am going to put chat on the air. I'm going to look at your guys' inputs. So, David, do you have a 2ME now? Let me know. I would love to hear that. So, guys, watch for that response because I like that. Yeah, so many outputs. I would love to have those outputs in the 2ME just because it's so enticing. Thank you, Freddie, for telling everybody to hit like. Freddie says in the text specs, you can find the pictures. Yeah, and I didn't prepare a bunch of pictures tonight's stream just because I really wanted to use the website. But if I do go to the text specs, we can see those pictures. Bill says 4 outputs would do it for him. So yeah, you just have to be able to convert everything to SDI to do that. The extreme looks good enough. Obviously, Tony, Joe has a knack for volunteering you. I would talk to you first before I asked you to do my checklist before a live stream. So it looks like you, David, you probably do have that 2ME because it's so flexible, but you don't use ISO. So if you're not ISO recording, then it's not necessary. If you're just going to record the program out, then that would be a perfect scenario. David says I should get the 2ME. Tony says he'd go for the 2ME because of the price difference. I still would have to find my recording and streaming solution. And because I have an extreme ISO, I pretty well have that solved, right? So I could take 8 of the outputs into my extreme ISO and then have all of those other outputs available to me. And I guess I could put some graphics out of my extreme ISO when I'm recording videos if I wanted to over my my recordings, and that would be great. Freddie says the same thing. So thank you for that input, Freddie, that I could do the 2ME and then record, and that's exactly what I was thinking about doing before the SDI model came out. So I appreciate that. So 3 votes for me getting a 2ME and adding a extreme ISO, unless I made up that 3rd vote. I think I had 3. Tony just doubles down on his comment to have 20 inputs and 12 outputs versus 8 inputs and 4 outputs for the extra $200. Use the extreme ISO recording. Yeah, and I think I'm leaning that way, but I want to put it all on paper tomorrow. Plus, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to relay out the studio, and that may impact where things are, but I'm still leaning 2ME and recording and streaming into my extreme ISO, though I still probably want to get a Web Presenter HD for a couple reasons. When I when I'm using my ATEM Mini Pro, because it'll be out of the mix. That would be a off-site rig, and I may want to take a HD with me, a Web Presenter HD with me, just so I can monitor the output way better than I can with just this little bit of information here. The Web Presenter HD has way more information, and a lot of the guys that I watch are now streaming from them, even though they own extreme ISOs. So plus, when I'm training people, I don't have to worry about messing with anything in my extreme ISO. I'm just sending an output over to a Web Presenter HD, and I would still split it because I'm going to want to be able to send the program to my monitors if I go that route. But if I have a 2ME, it won't matter because I have all the outputs I could use. So, Lieutenant A.K. Allen, hatchback versus a pickup truck. What is the hatchback and what's the pickup truck? I'm assuming that the hatchback would be the SDI ATEM, I'm guessing. So you'll have to let me know. Tony says all those inputs would streamline my workflow, eliminate many of the 2-port switches. Yeah, I want all of the switches gone, to be honest with you. So I don't know that I'll ever get rid of them because I own them. And when they're in your toolbox and you want to do something quickly, like over on the table, you're going to probably pull them out. But again, I have switches. That means 2 inputs in, 1 out, that I can switch between those. That's what I'm using for my ATEM Mini Pro. I also have splitters. So 1 input in with 2 outputs. I also have a 1 input, 4 out switch that I have in my studio. So it's crazy, but that's what I do. I come out of output number 2 of my extreme ISO. I split it with a 1 in and 2 out. One of those goes into my ATEM Pro, and it's one of those either or choices. And the other one goes into the 1 in and 4 out. And then 3 of those outputs go to these monitors that I have in the studio, including input number 2 on this monitor. And then the extra one goes to my new Shuttle HD. So I can take the program and record it in my Shuttle. I did that because I thought it would be cool to record and then do some instant replay right in the middle of a live stream. Just haven't done it yet. Tony, Bill Serino says, Tony, would you record in the extreme ISO output from the 2ME into inputs on the extreme ISO? So that sounds like it's a Tony question. Yep. David does have a extreme and a 2ME. You can send 4 outputs to the extreme for the ISO features, so you have the best of both worlds. Yeah, and I think that's what Aaron Parecki is going to do out of his 4ME. He said in not last Sunday, but the Sunday before that. And that's kind of mind-boggling to me. But he says when he does ISO recording, he never really does more than 4 cameras. And so that's kind of what tipped me to go ahead and purchase the 2ME, David, because that was enticing. If he's doing that, as complicated as his streams are and how many people that he's mentoring, I mean, he has lots of people join him on Sunday morning. Someday when I'm smart enough and interesting enough, maybe we'll have more people join us here on Tuesday night. Sunday morning at 10 is probably a way better time than Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with obviously daylight savings time popped in there as well. Spring forward, fall back. So we've jumped forward one of those hours in our time zone. So yes, David says I have it. So David is the new guy to give me input on the 2ME. So thank you, David. And I'd love to be able to finally do that Zoom conversation we've talked about and pick your brain before I pull the trigger would be great. And then Freddie was asking you, David, do you have a video already on your channel about it? Tony says, at Bill Serino, yes, it is an option with the SDI to HDMI converters. I must have missed that. So look back at the conversation between Tony and Bill Serino. Okay, so yesterday I was loading a trailer, Joe, and I looked down and my hand was bleeding, literally dripping blood on hot asphalt. Yesterday in the local area we live, the sale was at a mall, 149 RVs. We're going to talk about that more in the post show, how to purchase an RV, what to look for. I'm going to basically, that post show tonight, if you're ever going to purchase an RV or trade your RV in, it's money, because I'm going to tell a lot of the secrets that I know and how to approach a dealership. So that will be in the post show. But I'm bleeding from my hand because something slit a layer of skin off. I mean, it went pretty deep, no pain at all. I never had any pain. So I had so much adrenaline from the heat. It was about 120 degrees yesterday on the asphalt. And I'm supervising for a friend, and they had a front lot and a back lot because Macy's decided to say we couldn't have this spot right across a tree island. So basically you had a upper parking lot in front of Barnes and Nobles, and then it kind of dropped down a hill about 4 feet. So they had a kind of a grassy knoll with trees, which was great for parking behind them, getting shade as well as shade during the day. And then there was a whole nother giant parking lot where we were supposed to be. And at the last minute, that was taken away from us. And then we said, well, we're not going to be able to do the show. We're not going to sign the contract. This dealer that I'm working with as a consultant, and because my friend's involved in all these decisions, I was there when we found out about it. And so they gave us another giant parking lot, even bigger, behind a closed down Sears building. So that's where the other half of our RVs were. And they were about somewhere between 400 to 500 yards away. Again, 120 degrees asphalt. I'm dripping blood. I can't leave. So I had a first aid kit. I bandaged it with a butterfly Band-Aid, and that didn't hold because of the sweat. So I covered it with another Band-Aid. That held for about an hour and a half after I cleaned out the wound. Kept moving. One guy said to me, just cover it with duct tape and keep on going, which was funny. And I said, I actually have something better than duct tape. And then I dug deeper in the medical kit and found some regular gauze and regular tape. So I did a really bad job yesterday. And then when I got home at 4:30 yesterday, Shannon bandaged my finger, and that's the bandage I have on now. I'm going to change it tonight. It's been on for a little over 24 hours tonight. So that's the answer to that question. I was bleeding profusely. So I also got to fly a drone last week. That's going to be in the post show as well. And hopefully I can get the interview from my phone that I shot way late this afternoon at the dealership, talking about that drone flight and my mentor's perspective of what he saw as I flew for the first time, my maiden voyage in a drone. So that'll be in the post show. That's going to start here in about 20 minutes. So I hope you'll tune in for that. It's good to have you here, TVJ. Bill, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. That $9.99 is going to go towards that ATEM Mini, whatever it is. It could be the SDI, could be the Constellation 2ME, but I definitely will be making a purchase. In fact, my bookkeeper account will be here tomorrow. We're going to kind of settle the books on this 3-month contract with this RV dealership. Look at what we have extra, and I'm going to make a decision this week. I don't know when I'll order the 2ME, but I will be making a decision, or the SDI. I will announce what I purchased next week in the live stream, but I am going to reserve the right to continue weighing the options. But your input is very valuable, and I will be rewatching the video and rewatching the chat closer so that I can get more input from you guys. Okay, so thank you for that super chat, Spence GC. Hey, Keith, thank you for joining me. First of all, it's great to have you on the live stream. It says, great to see you again. Huge request. Back in April, you had sent an email to my Halfbro email. I accidentally either filed it or deleted it, can you please resend? Yeah, you can go back on my webpage or just find me on Facebook. I will look for that tonight and resend that to you. Thanks for letting me know that tonight in the chat. And again, I do a free 1-hour consult for anybody out there that's listening. If you want to learn more about live streaming tech or the stuff I do in the studio, or if you want to do live streaming in a venue, I do offer a 1-hour free consult via Zoom. The way you can sign up for that is go to my YouTube or my webpage, lifejourneyproductions.com. And then you can fill out the contact page, let me know that you want to have a Zoom conversation, and we can roll from there. Some of you have already done that. We've emailed back and forth. Some of you have actually had Zoom meetings with, and that's fun for me. So I'll do that for 1 hour free, and then I have packages for people that want 3 hours a month, 6 hours a month, and then actually now I'm working 3 days a week for a client. So that's complete different price, obviously, than 2 or 3 hours a month, and I'd be happy to cover that with you in that Zoom, or just answer any questions you have in that 1 hour consult, and then continue to answer your questions the best I can in our weekly live stream. So, okay, let me keep going through the chat here. Freddie says, hi to Jay. Good again to have you here, TVJ. I think I did that. DJ Ware asked me, do I have any plans for 4K? Yeah, I do have plans for 4K. I'm trying to figure that out right now. To be honest with you, I can use my cam link. If I do 4K, there are going to be some 4K streams, not really complicated, but I can come out of my ATEM or I can come out of my EOS R or my Canon 5D Mark IV. They both will do 4K. The Canon 5D Mark IV will not do 4K out of the HDMI out, but I have one EOS R in here. I'm getting ready to pull the trigger on another camera. My plan was to buy another camera before redoing my studio, but things got flip-flopped, so I haven't pulled the trigger on a new camera yet. If I do get a new camera, it will most definitely shoot 4K, and then I would have to find a way to switch that. I still will have this setup because I consult, most of the people I consult with are only doing 1080p live streaming. So at this point, I'm not going to convert the studio to 4K. That's probably a year or two out, but I do intend to do some 4K streaming, and I can do that from my EOS R camera 1. This is camera 2, and I can go directly into my HyperDeck and record that, come out of my HyperDeck if I wanted to, into a cam link, into my PC or my laptop, and then stream that. My plan is to get a web presenter 4K so that I don't have to use my PC or my laptop to do that. And so I may do that. I may find a way to have that camera on 4K on a different channel with just one view. So that's all I know right now. I haven't completely sorted that out in my head. This 3 months with this client, I have 2 weeks left next week, this week, and then 2 more weeks. I'm done on the 15th, however much time that is. So let me see. Yeah, so I have 3 more weeks. That's 9 days, even though I've already invested 6 of those. So I'll either do 1 more week or I will bill them for the 6 extra days. We'll see how that goes. But either way you look at it, I'm going to be wrapping up the time I'm investing. And if I do stay with them, it'll be maybe 1 day a week or a day and a half a week. I may do 3 days, but 1 day here, not off campus. So we'll see how that plays out. So, okay. Thank you, David. That would be great to Zoom with you. I would love to have your input. Lieutenant A.K. Allen says, if you're looking for an RV, look for a Newmar. That's one great brand. And so there you have your input from someone on the channel. Hopefully, Lieutenant A.K. Allen, you will join us for the post show, because we're going to talk RVs and we're going to talk my maiden drone flight. And I have an interview with my mentor who actually flies speed drones. So Thank you, Joe. My finger will be fine. I still heal really well. In fact, by the time I got home last night and we changed the wound, it was already healing rather nicely. I just don't want it to get infected and I don't want to be in any pain. I haven't had any. So by the grace of God, no pain yesterday. And I don't like cuts. I get the EBGVs from, yeah, I said that on my live stream. I get that from cuts or wounds of any kind. So the fact that yesterday was painless, I got through the blood and I was fine. So good to have you here, Hank, from Stop and Think. Thank you for checking in. It says you're on the road in New York. I believe that's right. TVJ says 4K is overrated. Also very expensive. Or TVJ says 4K is overrated, also very expensive. And they should put a sign over 4K saying just bring barrels of money. Yeah, obviously it's going to cost some money if I decide to do anything 4K. And that's probably, a lot of people have probably had to do something just like that, TVJ, when they've been injured. I saw this first aid kit, and as we were unloading the two major trailers, well, there was 3 trailers that they used, toy haulers, to do the offices in. So basically, cool things about the toy haulers, trailers, or fifth wheels is they have all this extra space in the back to put in 4-wheelers. You could put a barbecue there if you wanted to. You could put a motorcycle there. You could put your dogs. I've sold them to people for dog shows. But anyway, we could set up desks there and have 2 managers in one trailer, and then the other 2 trailers had our finance guys. We had 2 of them because they need privacy in their trailer when they're sitting down to do paperwork with customers. So it was really cool, and the first aid kit was in the manager's trailer, so I purposely got it out when we were loading off the premises that morning, yesterday morning, and set it out on the main trailer where we had water, snacks, and all that stuff. And so I'm glad that first aid kit was there, and I was happy that it had the tools in it to repair my finger, and I didn't have to use bob wire and Band-Aids, though I did start with a butterfly Band-Aid and a Band-Aid to hold it on. Tony says he does that all the time on a job site. So, Tony, I got to tell you, my wife will tell you, my kids, notoriously, anytime I was working on my car, especially over the years, and I'm not really a car guy or a car mechanic, I told you guys probably the only car I really got excited about in my life was this car, and that was the 1966 Batmobile, and this is the no, I can't remember, Jada version that actually lights up. And so the Batmobile lights up. I hope you guys can see this on camera. So this is a part of my collection. That's the really only car that I got really excited about, though I do love the new Batmobile, and many of you guys have seen my Batmobile display that I made with my grandson and my son. In fact, for my son's birthday, I've already told him that we're doing a Bat Cycle and Batman, the 2022 version, diorama for him for his birthday, which is next month. So I'm excited about that. So every time I work on a car in my history, my personal cars or my wife's car, I cut myself. And so I notoriously don't like to work on cars. I usually either hire it out or I ask my son-in-law, who's very much into cars, to help me out. So, and most people do watch content on their cell phone. So if you're watching the content tonight on your cell phone, please let me know. Cell phone, if you're watching it on a computer screen, do that. If you're watching it on a big monitor in your house or a big TV, let me know in the chat as well. That would be a great poll to get your answer to. So just put cell phone in the chat, put TV, put laptop, whatever it is, PC screen. It would be great to know how you're watching this tonight. Super glue does work to seal wounds. And I guess if you're going to camp or RV or glamp, that would be a great tool to have with you. I also, unless you have a 100-inch TV, your eyes cannot really tell the difference. So yeah, that's true. iPhone, laptop, cell phone, Conjoined Technologies, watching on a 65-inch 4K, and I can tell the difference. Okay, so because, Joe, you're watching me on a 4K TV, I have a special guest for you because you're a 65-inch. You need something special. And just because you guys think that I'm here and I don't appreciate what you're doing where you're at, let's just see if this guy has anything to say about that. Hey, Ratso, what's going on? Doing good. So, did you know that Joe is watching us right now on a 65-inch TV? Let me turn his chat off. You say, what? He is watching you right now on a 65-inch TV. You're kidding me. Yeah, he is. He's watching you on a 65-inch, your gold chain, your Steelers jersey, and your big nose. You say, what? I mean, your beautiful nose. It's amazing. So you get back down there, and would you show up maybe a little bit for the post show tonight? Yeah. Okay, so see you later, buddy. So that's for you, Joe. Because you're watching me on a 65-inch TV, Ratso decided to come out of his little hole under there and was nibbling on my leg or whatever he was doing down there. It was a little freaky. And because I got Ratso out, I guess I got a super chat. Oh, by the way, let me go back up here. I apologize for this. Yeah, Bill, thank you also for your super chat. And you just said, here's some funds for whatever your choice is. So I just wanted to make sure that I responded to you. Let's see. Freddie says, okay, DJ Ware laptop. The Well, thank you for joining me. The Well, that's great. It sounds refreshing. We needed you at that off-site sale in the 120-degree asphalt temperature, which burnt my legs pretty much, not just the skin, but from my shoes up. You can feel it hours after you get off that pavement. I was on it from about 7 a.m. I think I got off the asphalt a couple times, sat in an air-conditioned truck and my car for about 20 minutes total. I think I was on the asphalt for about 5 hours, and I could feel it later. So good to have you. You're watching on your cell. DJ Ware on his laptop. Freddie says, if you use the web presenter to stream, that means that you bypass the PC CPU and it will be more relaxed. I don't know if it translated right. I hope it makes sense. Yeah, it did translate right, Freddie. And so I appreciate your input. I won't have to put any more pressure. So if I am showing you web pages and all that, or I'm doing chat on my PC using Aaron Parecki's Chrome plugin and OBS, then yeah, I don't have to put that extra weight or work on my PC. So I'm looking at the time. We're going to have to wrap it up here pretty soon because I got to roll an outro video and intro video for the post show. We're going to talk about RVs. We're going to also talk about my maiden voyage in a drone flight, what kind of drone it was. I'm going to actually hopefully play an interview that I did with my mentor who was out there as one of the leaders in this company, and I'll officially introduce him in that video. And then I want to talk a little bit about my experience with that drone, also talk to you about how to purchase an RV if you're going to trade, like if you do have a trade and you want to know about trading it, things that you can do, tips and tricks. I will be happy to share that in the post show. That was requested, I believe, a few weeks back by Joe from Conjoined Technologies. So a shout out to him. Hopefully I got that right. And we are going to talk about that in the post show. And who knows, Ratso may make an appearance during the show. So we'll see. So thank you so much for that. And again, Ratso is the reason for that super chat, and I appreciate it very much. David says he laughed out loud. If that's the first time you saw Ratso, I apologize for that. My voice is rusty. I didn't warm up. I literally brought him in right before we went live. That's probably why I forgot to get us completely live tonight in the live stream. So thank you, Freddie. I hope to see you guys in the post show. Again, thank you for your input. It looks like pretty much everybody that voted tonight is saying get a 2ME and then record to my ATEM Extreme ISO, Mini Extreme ISO. And so I thank you for that input. So if you haven't told me your thoughts tonight of what you think I should do, I would love to hear it in the chat, even in the outro video. If you want to reserve that for the post show because you're still processing, then I hope you will join me for the post show. I appreciate it. Yeah, Freddie says, let Ratso open the post show. We'll see if he's up to that. So it's really hot in here and he's got heavy fur. He doesn't like the heat. So we'll see what Ratso's willing to do. And as if I have any control over that rat. Come on, guys, cut me some slack. I don't call the shots with Ratso. You think? TVJ, did you see that I did a live stream last Tuesday to fill the void you left taken off? No, I didn't see that. So guys, go over and check out that live stream that TVJ did. I'll have to pop over to your channel again. I was pretty well away from the house except to come home, shower and go to sleep last week because it was so hot. I was literally on the grounds at this RV show for 12-hour days last week mostly, so, or recovering. So thank you so much. Another vote for Ratso opening the post show. So obviously we know your opinion about that. Hopefully I didn't miss any really important chats tonight. I apologize if I did. And if you're watching this and you weren't able to chat, it's because I have subscribe only chat on. So if you subscribe to the channel, and I really appreciate the subscribers, I've been kind of busy. I haven't been uploading any videos lately because of being so busy off the campus. I have a DJI mic video pretty much done. I have another video I want to do on my feedback on the HyperDeck shuttle. Now that I've had it in the studio for a couple months, I want to give my feedback on that. It's going to be a short little video of the pros and cons of the HyperDeck shuttle HD. I have some footage from the show that I want to make in a little video and put that on my channel just because I think it deserves it. Hopefully I can get some of that footage to play tonight and you guys can see a clip of me going through RVs, but I do want to put that on my channel. I'm probably going to put it in the post-show playlist because that's where I'm going to be talking mostly about RVs ever here on the channel. So thank you so much. Freddie says, great show. So with that, guys, I am going to wrap up the live show so that we can get ready and roll the intro here in a few minutes. Again, if you subscribe, you can chat after 5 minutes. So please consider rolling over to the post show. And I'd love to see you there. If I can't see you there because you need to get to sleep, that's great. I hope you'll watch that video later. Thank you so much for joining me here in the studio live. Sorry about the delay of getting live tonight, but it was great to see so many people with me. Thank you so much for the super chats. That helps me out immensely. I love it. It also helps the algorithm when people are helping me by subscribing, liking, and sharing. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. Obviously, your likes help as well. And if you share any of these, I really, really, really appreciate it. That makes a big difference. I am still trying to grow my channel. That's really why I want to get back to that in September through the end of the year, because it has slowed down a niche. And I have lots of things I want to talk about. And I can't wait till I get that new equipment in the studio because that's going to be great because we're going to be doing a new rebuild and I'm going to be showing the behind the scenes look at my rebuild of my studio. So with that, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. Thank you guys for making this a great night, a great enjoyment time for me. Thank you for all the input and the questions, as well as the super chats. And I will say farewell, and I'll see you hopefully in the post show. If not, I'll see you next week on Tuesday live right here. And hopefully I will be live like I'm supposed to at 7 minutes till 4 o'clock with our intro. So thank you. And we will say good night. I'm going to hit outro live show. Peace.